sick, okay.
Yeah, so you accept it.
Sure, man. Yeah. So the director of all those machines, he was in charge of.
Sure.
That's a cool, I think, he in Chicago now?
He is living in California. Yeah.
What color would you like, you know?
Oh, he's on.
Mine's red.
So, the only idea would be like keep it chrome.
Yeah, like this.
That's really working.
Red to go out.
Yeah, get my hair.
Toxin cell. Apron, or do you want it on the car? So I think it might have it. You're not one of those?
Nah, well, I'm not. Probably
Yeah.
appreciate it.
You want me to do first
Some of the
one?
value of the machine.
All right, your name?
Good point. So they're gonna have to. There's probably a guy over here.
Yeah, that was fun. I had a good time with that one.
Love your
So
own.
Brian, I've never played much fun.
You have everything.
No, I think you're on a radio plate.
Thank you very much.
Got it, man.
Yes, sir.
James, pleasure meeting you.
Good to meet you. See you around.
Travels with choice.
Look forward to hearing your speech.
I'm definitely going back that way. Go back to here.
Will this be able to stream later? I don't know. All right.
Good question.
I'm streaming.
All right.
Yeah, I'm streaming right.
Same thing on that show.
Yeah, okay.
You don't know who's running the room?
Guess I'm running the room.
Still in front of you.
Not here. All right, that's fine. Yep.
One of the things I like about this show is it's diverse enough. There's always something ridiculous.
That is not good news.
I like that. That was really funny.
Been running this one? Normally the room comes with somebody.
We can figure it out.
So, you know, but I know my way around electronics, so. Source? Yeah. There we go. All right. Right on time. How's everybody doing? Who here has actually got to play the Harry Potter pinball machine? Oh, nice. All right. Thumbs up. Is it all right? All right, cool. My name's Eric Meunier. I'm the game designer of a couple games at Jersey Jack, including our latest, Harry Potter. Next to me is Dan Lachek. Dan is the lead mechanical engineer on this project. He's the one who actually made it all work, which is great, because without him, the game would not be what it is. So we're going to talk about a lot of the stuff that we do on the game. We're not going to cover every single intricate detail of the game, but we're both good players. We can answer any question you have about the machine. This whole game kind of came out of our heads, so we know everything there is to know about the design and the mechanisms, and that's kind of what we're going to focus on. But then later I'll go through rules, and I'll go through the user interface that you see on the screen, and then people can ask some questions, and then I got a whole bunch of stuff up here that we can sign, like posters and stuff like that. So here we go. There we go. All right, is this thing keeping up? All right, so first we're going to start with the Playfield, right? And what I really wanted to do, I was hoping there was going to be like a laser pointer. Does my mouse show up on that screen? No? Ooh, I have a little sketch tool here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the different shot paths that exist in the game and kind of the mentality that I had going into the Potter design. So what you see on the right is a fully populated playfield. What you see on the left is a partially populated playfield that I stood up on my assembly line yesterday, which never mind I didn't, because that's not OSHA approved. I took a picture of this playfield when it was perfectly safe.
On a ladder with the safety harness.
Yeah, ladder, safety harness, the whole 9 yards. So what I want to talk about are the shot paths that exist in this game. And so the playfield on the left you can see without the upper playfield on it, and the playfield on the right is fully built. So let's see if we can make this work. Laser pointer. There you go. Hey-o, there we go. All right, so we're going to start on the right-hand side. The very far right shot from the edge of your left flipper is the time turner shot. There's a spinner there. It's a quick button hook shot. So it goes in here, comes out, and comes around quickly to feed the right flipper. What you'll notice on this game, one of like the core design concepts is the ball is moving really quickly. Most games, when you make a ramp shot and the ball comes back to you, comes down a wire form where it will normally stop, drop onto this wire, hit here, and then slowly roll down to your flipper. And for me, that's not what I wanted. I wanted speed, 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 constant action. So all of the returns that come back to your flipper come down the outside of the game, which lets them build up a lot of speed and then jump the drain gap to each flipper. So back to the shot paths. First, we have the time turner here on the right, comes back down and around. Then we have the scoop shot. So the scoop shot is where you start a whole bunch of stuff. Primarily, this is where you shoot to start your movie mode. The player is allowed to select which movie they want to play. We did this because casual pinball players, might walk up to the game for the first time and their favorite movie is number 4. Early design decisions, kind of the concept of the game. There are certain people who don't understand the pinball. Sometimes those people work at licensing companies. So there was a concept of play every single scene in order from movie 1 through movie 8. You have 24 hours of film footage. Go. That doesn't make fun pinball, right? No one wants to repeat the same exact thing they do every single time they hit the start button on a game. So through lots of negotiation and discussing with and informing people who aren't pinball players what makes fun pinball, we were able to shoot this scoop, choose which movie you want to start. Because I have a favorite movie, you have a favorite movie. They might not be the same movie, but we want players to enjoy and play the movie that they want to play. So shooting the scoop is how you start your movie. Shooting the scoop is also where you advance travel. So this is one of the rules that I personally didn't come up with. This is one of the rules that was come up with by Joe Katz, who's a lead programmer. As we were shooting this Whitewood, Whitewood is a game without any artwork on it, just the mechanisms and the ball paths. Shoot the game around, see how it feels. Joe really meshed with this playfield, and he was convinced that combos would be a really big thing in this game, and we wanted to build a rule completely around combos. So combos, movement, travel. So we came up with the idea of wizard travel and the ways that Harry travels as he gains experience and knowledge in the wizarding world. So the first combo that you'll be making, as you're making combos around the game, you're seeing the Hogwarts Express fly across the screen. Not fly, it doesn't fly. It drives on tracks across the screen in a playful manner. After you've made 5 combo shots, which you can do in 2.5 seconds, you can then shoot the scoop and you can upgrade your form of wizard travel. The next form of travel that Harry participates in as a young wizard is broomstick, right? And then the next form is the flying car, and then the what's next? The flue powder, there's a port key, there's a hippogriff, I think there's 8 total, and it finally ends with apparating. So as you're making these combos, you're advancing your form of wizard travel. You get a cool award every time. So you'll often notice the first time you shoot the scoop, you've already made a ton of combos. You've got your movie ready to go. You shoot it in there and you see these cups gathering on the screen, right? Which is a very iconic scene from the final film, maybe it's the 7th film, when they're in Bellatrix's vault, and there's something called the Geminio curse. Which nerd here knows the Geminio curse is? All right, what is it?
The duplication.
The duplication curse. So we use the duplication charm, which is Geminio, instead of Gemino, the Gemino curse and the Geminio charm, and yes, I'm probably the biggest Potter nerd in this room. So they're different. One is good and the other one is bad. So we use the Geminio charm, but we use the film footage of the Gemino curse just because it's very iconic. That was another thing that we had to massage with our licensing partners. So that is our playfield multiplier, right? It's really cool to have those cups. And it's sort of a risk-reward thing, because yes, you're getting double points, but as you're getting your double points, the screen is filling up with these cups and you can't see your score and you can't see certain elements of your UI, and it's, again, kind of a risk-reward. You're still earning double points. All right, so that's the scoop. Movies, combos, Geminio charm, and a wizard mode is tied in there. Next shot, we have under the upper right flipper. I have a soft spot for shooting under a upper flipper. To me, that's a player-controlled diverter. You can always make that shot. You can choose to shoot under there if you want, and if you've seen some of the other games I've made, there is one of those on every game that I've made. Next is a shot that is not technically directly shootable from a flipper, but it is shootable by 5 or 6 different ricochet shots. So you can hit off the Ron targets into the cauldron, you can hit off the Hermione targets into the cauldron. Several of these targets here from the upper flipper will reflect into the cauldron. It's a really fun area of the playfield that would normally be just a dead bounce if it were a ball guide. Instead, I opened that up and left a pathway into a subway that goes under the playfield. And that's where we earn potions. So if you shoot in there a couple times, you get the potions. And a standard concept in pinball is something called a mystery award. You shoot it into a scoop and you're given some random award. We wanted to have a semi-random mystery award. So what we'll do is on screen you'll see 3 different potions. There's one on the left ramp, there's one on the middle ramp, and there's one on the right orbit. Whichever one you shoot first locks in which mystery award you are going to choose. Shoot it 2 more times to unlock that award. To me, that's more interesting than just some random list. Again, player gets to choose, and they can, I'm really close to getting, cashing out my combos, so I want to get max combo, or I want to get an extra tilt warning because Eric shows me that nudging the game is a good thing, and I nudge the game, and I keep track of my tilt warnings. They're right there in the out lane, right? That's where they belong, so you can see them. So lots of different potion awards that you can earn. All right, next shot is the right orbit. And the right orbit is one of those fun shots that is very divertible. All right, so shooting the right orbit usually comes around under the upper playfield and then comes screaming down this left return lane to your flipper. I have seen many players completely whiff when it comes back to the lower left flipper because it's coming so fast. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But that right orbit can be stopped by a magnet right here. And then that rolls down into this vertical up kicker, which can kick either to the wands or to the top of that staircase, which can go a whole bunch of different places. Which leads us to the next shot, which is the staircase. So the staircase is this wild, crazy mechanism that we'll go into shortly, that Dan made work and spent so many hours.
A lot of 3D printing.
We have, so a tool that we use in our office is a 3D printer. I owned a Bamboo Lab 3D printer for a while. I bought one for our engineering office. Dan bought one for his house because of how useful this tool is. We don't use 3D printing in production at all, but the ability to draw something and hold it in your hand in like an hour with this printer is, the value is incalculable because I can iterate and I can iterate and I can iterate 4 times in a day versus waiting 6 weeks to get a part from a vendor and then realizing it's not right and we've got to change something. So a box that's not quite the size of this table, full of old prints of changes and tweaks and adjustments that we made to that staircase and other mechanisms through the course of this game. Next we have this shot right up the middle, the center lane shot, which is themed after Diagon Alley. Diagon Alley has 4 really cool shops that the player can interact with. The joke shop, the Weasley's Wizarding Wheezies, which gives the player a smart bomb. As you're playing the movie modes, you can use a smart bomb to automatically complete the scene that you're currently in. It's really to your advantage to get continuous completed movie modes. You can build crazy huge point values if you continue to beat them consecutively. So if you're running out of time and you have a joke bomb, you can use it, continue, and keep going. Next shop is the Owlry, ILOPS Owlry, where it starts a 25 million point hurry up on some random shot in the game. But what's really cool is as you shoot into Diagon, it gets grabbed by the magnet, dropped to the top of the staircase, which can feed all 4 flippers. So we can put that hurry up shot in a different place every game, and it's really fun to make the players stay on their toes. Sometimes it could be on the upper playfield, sometimes it could be fed to the lower left flipper, sometimes it could be fed to the upper right flipper. That's a fun mode shot, a 25 million point hurry up shot. The next shop is Flourish and Blots, which has, it's not a bad thing always, a video mode in pinball. It is very short, and what you're doing is you're learning how to cast a spell. So you go to Flourish and Blots, you're shown a spell, and you have to memorize it. And it's like a Simon Says sort of thing, left flipper, action button, right flipper. And if you complete it, you earn some big points. You earn which Horcrux is found in Flourish and Blots for the first time. Not the locket. The diary. Right. So you are awarded one of the 7 Horcruxes, which is required to get to the end of the game at Flourish and Blots, if you complete your spell. Then the final shop is Ollivander's Wand Shop. And Ollivander's really plays into one of the multi-balls in the game. So there's a multi-ball on the right-hand side, which has to do with the 3 characters' wands. These are 1-to-1 movie replica, accurate size wands of Harry, Hermione, and Ron. And The ends of them light up, because that's cool. But this mechanism is a 3-ball lock, and the Golden Trio multi-ball, the physical lock, is that mechanism. So when you go to Ollivanders, you get the ability to power up that multi-ball, and you get a whole bunch of modifiers to that multi-ball if you can complete these 5 shots that are across the game. That's another one of those things in Diagon Alley. Diagon Alley is packed with lots of cool different shops and cool things to do. Next to the left we have Hagrid. He's right there. He's a stand-up target because he's the first person who shows Harry Diagon Alley, and we wanted to have him in the game. And he does lots of cool stuff in the game. Next to the left of that is the Great Hall ramp, which is the second access, direct shot access to the staircase. Something I want to point out, as you're playing the game, you'll see this directional pad, is what I'm going to call it, in front of the grand staircase and in front of the Great Hall. The light that's flashing is going to tell you which direction the ball is going to go after you shoot that shot. So if it's flashing to the left on the staircase and to the top on the Great Hall, if you shoot the Great Hall, it'll end up going to the top, to the back of the staircase. If you end up shooting the grand staircase, it will go to the left, which is red, and color coordinated will come down to the red flipper. The blue will feed the blue flipper. The green will feed the green flipper. And of course, those are the 4 houses. And so the yellow flipper is actually up here on the Quidditch pitch. But back shots feed the pop-bumper area, and the other 3 shots will feed those color coordinated flippers. Next shot over, we have the Death Eater, which has a fun ball mechanism in there. There's a kickback, there's a drop target. They work in tandem that when you shoot a ball into the Death Eater, they shoot it back at you, and they're not too kind about it. So be on your toes. Then we've got some shots for the upper flipper. So we've got an orbit shot here that'll feed, that's continuous, that you can loop. But when the fancy strikes us, and by us I mean the programming team, there is a light that hangs off the side of this left ramp that says Secret Passage. And if that light is lit, then the diverter that's buried under that upper playfield will divert, and the ball will then come down and feed this left return lane. We have a post here in the left return lane so that we can stop the ball there. We can play videos, we can give players instructions. So a lot of the shots that we have around the game are able to be stopped so we can show video, we can show content, but most of them are not stopped. And that's something that I, as a game designer, really want to make happen. Shots that can change direction, change path, and change end state make the game a lot more interesting to me versus I shoot this, it comes right back to this flipper every single time. Next we have an allies target. So if you hit allies, there are 2 shots on the game, Dumbledore's Army, and then the Order of the Phoenix. It will light up those 2 shots. You're able to collect members of those 2 groups of allies, and there are 4 modes buried in there. There's Luna Loves Loops. There is Lupin. There is Heart's Desire, which is the pop bumper mode. And so if you looked closely at the playfield, I don't think I can zoom in. Maybe I can zoom in here. Ooh. How much does that zoom in? Oh yeah, there we go. So that insert right there, many people called me in a panic. They're like, this insert's backwards. It's backwards. It can't read it right. I'm like, when you build the game and you're standing in the player's perspective and you look at the back of the game, you'll see the Mirror of Erised. And in the Mirror of Erised, you'll see the words Heart's Desire, spelled correctly. And Hagrid's Hut, rendered correctly, because right now that whole back of the playfield is mirrored. So no, the insert is not incorrect. It is mirrored intentionally because you're looking at it through the Mirror of Erised. All right, a couple more shots. We've got a quick loop back shot that goes under the left ramp from the upper flipper. So that is the library shot. Comes back down here to the left flipper. Finally, the left ramp, which feeds Quidditch. Quidditch is a playfield unto itself. There are 3 major shots up there. There's the U-turn ramp, comes back around and feeds this flipper again. There's an orbit with a spinner on it. And then one of my favorite shots in the game is on the very tip of this flipper. You can shoot off the playfield onto the main ramp, into the back of the staircase, and it can go in one of the staircase paths. Finally, let's see, we've got the Hermione targets right there, Ron targets right here, and then Harry is the in lanes. I think that's the playfield in a nutshell. Did I miss anything? Oh yeah, all right, so in many JJP games that I've worked on, there are ways to save your ball in the out lanes. And there is a mechanism in the right out lane called Protego that we'll go into in just a little bit when we talk about mechs. And there is a drain lane game in the left out lane themed after Fox, the Phoenix. If you drain when Fox is lit, you have a chance to resurrect your pinball. All right. Is that everything? All right, what's next? What's the next slide? All right, so we're going to go into mechs now, and we're going to start with the staircase in all of its beauty.
Looks a little different.
Right. So the inspiration for the staircase is a really fun thing. I have two sons. I have a 10-year-old son and a 7-year-old son, and we were playing this marble-based game where it's more of a logic puzzle than a board game. You have a certain configuration of these stacks of plastic. And it says, here's point A where you start, you drop a marble in the top, and here's point B where you need to end, and use these 4 configurations to make it happen. And I said, holy cow, that's a pinball mech. I just need to make it happen. And then I took that game, and I gave it to Dan, and I'm like, you need to play this so that you understand where my crazy head is going. We 3D printed these blocks, and I'm like, this is what I want to do. I want to be able to shoot into here. Wait, laser pointer. I want to be able to shoot into here and have it come out of one of these, and then also drop the ball in here and have it come out of one of those, and that was the inspiration for the staircase mech.
Not only that, but he said he wanted each level to rotate independently. So when he brought that up, and I looked at it, and I was like, yeah. So we did some iterations, and we talked about it, and it turned into what we have now, where it was one level that turns with a platform on top. So it kind of acts as 3, but we don't have to do some 3 different rotating levels.
Right. Important things in pinball design. So I grew up as an operator. I've been working on games since I was a wee lad. My parents owned over 100 different arcade accounts when I was a kid. I never had a babysitter. I was always with mom and dad whenever they were working, and I learned how to fix games. And when I design games, I want to make them fixable. So Dan, as we were designing this together, right, it has to be able to go together easily, be able to be taken apart easily. So this mech, if you need to get to the gear inside, there are 3 screws that are completely accessible with a Phillips screwdriver from the top. You want to do it
taking anything apart.
without taking anything else off the game. You can pop this out of there, you can access the gear. The motor lives underneath, so you can see it, touch it, check the connectors, all of that. It's all very accessible. And then, of course, going extra, because we always go extra, the level of detail that our sculptor put into, the house crests on the front of the staircase, and these portraits here, right? These portraits all move. Yeah. So these are all lenticular images, and as you walk up to the game and you hit the start button, you'll see the staircase rotate slowly on the latest version of code, and you'll see Hedwig flapping her wings on the top of the staircase. So make sure you check that out. So then, there it is in the game, and you can see kind of that shot path coming in, and as it rotates and rotates. All right, so the next mech that I wanted to go through was the upper playfield. And again, it starts with rough ideas, and we refine and iterate as much as we can in the time we have. Oh wait, yeah, there we go. I did put a video in there. All right. So you can see the lenticulars.
Yeah, there were, like Eric said, there was a lot of iteration going through that. Through 3D printing, if you notice on the first one, it was all 3D printed. The latest one, we've got a metal ramp with 3D printing or with the sculpt around it. And then the lights got added in. That's why not have lights. So, but yeah, a lot of iteration, but it came out really well.
Right. Next, the upper playfield. This is something that I've started doing as I'm designing, and I want to make wireforms. Wireforms are not trivial to make by hand. If that came to it as a surprise to anyone, let me know. It's difficult to hand form wire and weld them and make them hold their X, Y, and Z axes correctly. So instead, design it, I 3D print what I call a trough of what the wireform will look like, and I can test the shot at least. And then I can ask my guy who works in our machine shop to fabricate this, and he won't yell at me because well, actually I need another one. Actually, I need another one. That's like, I can get the shot path down correctly first using this sort of methodology to make sure it works the way we want. So I tested that. This was over a year ago in my office, and then refine it a little bit. This doesn't have the upper wire on it, and you can see what it turns into as a finished product. But even this whole mech comes out of the game with 4 accessible screws from the top side without having to remove anything else. You undo the switch, the power, and the USB cable, and it lifts out of the game. No gymnastics.
We just took one off today, and it was like 5 minutes.
Right. The next mech is that wand mech that I was talking about. You know, to the Potter nerds out there, they can recognize Harry's wand, they can recognize Hermione's wand, they can recognize Ron's, both of his wands, the one that got snapped in half and the one he has in the later films. So I really wanted to incorporate those into the game. We had this idea of putting the golden trio in there, and that was a discussion that we had to have with the licensor, because that's not a term that's used anywhere in the films, but it is a term that's recognized by Warner Brothers, and so we were able to key that term into our game as the golden trio multi-ball and use it. So I have the way this mech works. There's optos that detect the ball. There's a little coil here that releases the balls one at a time. They drop through the cauldron, through the playfield, into the subway, and then come out when you're ready to start your multi-ball. There's a couple of them lined up on the line. And let's see, the next mech is the Death Eater. So the Death Eater mech is made up of 2 simple standard pinball mechanisms, but used in a way that's really fun. So there's a kickback and there's a drop target. And we can shoot the ball in there, the drop target will pop up, it'll hold, and then the drop target pulls down with enough power to push the ball backwards into the kickback, which then launches down your throat. So then I took a quick video of how that works. For the record, I did this with one hand on the flipper and one hand holding my phone. First time. So you can see how quickly it rockets out of there, and it is a really fun thing. In the code version that's not quite at the show yet, there's a really cool lamp effect coming for them like gathering power and chucking it from their wand at you, and it's really cool. But you don't get to see it this weekend, so. And then that's another point.
So when you shoot in, every single time is not the same, like kicking it back out. So there's a random aspect to it. So you don't know if it's going to come flying at you like lightning or if it's going to come a little bit slower. So it keeps you on your toes.
All right, next mech. This was one of those things that I immediately, as I'm writing down in my game journal, yes, I keep a game journal, immediate ideas that I want to have. I have to have the Whomping Willow, and it has to move, and it has to be like on a pop bumper. So there it is. But of course, it's not just the Whomping Willow. Can we also put a Ford Anglia in the tree? Do we have the license to use that? Can we use that? The answer is yes, we can. And yes, we did. So this tree is not just a hard piece of plastic, right? This is a rubberized injection molded material that's actually made out of 14 different cavities that are then sonically welded together. The concern here was, okay, you've got this willowy tree with really thin parts, and you've got a really heavy car on the top of it. And it's on one of the most dramatic mechanical devices in a pinball machine, one of the most violent devices that exists, the pop bumper. So how do we make sure that this car doesn't just crack the tree in half after 500,000 cycles? So what you don't see inside this tree is a steel wire that's wrapped up inside the trunk and comes up through the car to provide stiffening in the area where we wanted there to be some rigidity, but the branches are still able to wiggle like it should. All right, I think the last mech that I wanted to go through was the Protego mech. So Protego is the shield charm that you cast when a bad guy is trying to throw a hex at you or a curse at you. And this mech in the playfield looks like an insert. And frankly, a lot of people don't realize that it's a mechanism at first until it pops up and it saves your ball.
That's the great thing about it.
Right. It's hidden, but it pops up, does what it needs to do, and then disappears again. So now a little bit of backstory and something that happens in every pinball machine. I had a different idea when I came into this, and we built it and we played with it, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. And Dan said it sucked, and Joe said it sucked, and Steve Ritchie said it sucked. And so like, it wasn't fun in the end. So what the mech was, and the reason like Voldemort is here in the drain lane, obviously Voldy's the bad wizard, and Harry's actually over here on this slingshot. There's a really iconic scene in the fourth film where their wands connect for the first time. It's much better in the books, but it's okay in the films. Where their wands connect, and then there's like this battle of wills back and forth, and they control this like beam of power, and there's this like glob of energy going back and forth. And that was the mech that I had. And it basically moved between draining your ball easier when Voldy is winning, or saving your ball easier when Harry is winning. The problem was the amount of space that it could move was like, you can't even see it. It was like
Anymore, it just creates ball traps.
3/16 of an inch. But then yeah, if it was any less than an inch and a 16th, it's a ball trap in either direction. So this cool idea that, again, we spent time on, we spent engineering resources building, we all thought, well, I thought it would be really cool. When we implemented it, we're like, it's not very fun. What can we do instead? And we came up with the Protego mech, which is a lot more fun, and really good theme integration, and an interesting change to the original idea that we had. And that happens in every pinball machine. There's not a game out there that has ever been made that comes out exactly as whomever designed it originally thought it would, right? There's always variables that come in. So that, I think, is all of the mechanism, physical design stuff. Does anyone have any questions about any of that yet? So,
When you make your test ramp, what material were you printing with?
So for quick, simple stuff, we print with PLA, but Bamboo can do, our Bamboo printer can do any material. So I think I've done carbon fiber at home, but again,
I did some of the staircases in ABS.
we're really doing it for fit and form, not like high density life testing, right? Because it'll shatter. I did print once wire form by itself, and it was, oh, it's so pretty, and then I shot a ball at it and it exploded. So that's why I did the troughs. That works a lot better. All right, so the next part of our little presentation here is oh wait. There we go. So when Protego is lit, it'll be flashing. And you light Protego by spelling Harry, the inlanes. It's lit at ball start as well. All right. So next, I thought it could be fun to go through some of the very simple, easy to understand rules in this game. So again, if you look at this from the 30,000 foot view, there's a lot going on. But there's 8 movies. There's like 60 characters that a lot of people can name or have tattooed elements of them on their body. And I didn't want to leave anyone behind. I wanted all of the scenes, all of the characters, all of the creatures and monsters that everyone knows and loves. I wanted them all to be a part of this game. And so we as a team did our best to make sure none of those scenes were left behind. So part of the original design, right? How do you incorporate 24 hours of films into a pinball machine? So the way that we did that is by starting with picking your movie. So let's see here, zoom in. There we go. So you can pick your movie. Can I not zoom in and laser point? I thought I just did it. Well, whatever.
Use your wand.
I'm trying. Let's see, laser pointer. Well, all right. Up here are movie modes, and you pick a movie, and we broke it into. We wanted to define it as like school terms, right? So that people who've never seen Harry Potter, like that one guy who lives under a rock, they would still have fun and they'd understand, oh, it's a school. So it's broken into terms: fall term, spring term, and final semester. Each term is 5 of the iconic scenes. So fall term is 5 of the scenes from the first half of whichever movie you've picked. 2 to 3 shots, and then you shoot, and then you get the award scene. Whoa, uh-oh. Don't. Ruh-roh. I need power. Do we have a
It's on the floor.
room nanny yet? You got it? If I didn't talk so long, it wouldn't be a problem.
Is that box not going right there? On the platform? Computer charges!
Alright. See if I can get this to come back. All right, so I was talking about movie scenes. Thank you. So every movie is broken down into 15 to 18 different iconic scenes that players know, and they have, hold on, we're not live yet. There we go. All right, woo, recover. We'll just clip that out. On screen. So we wanted to put as much movie content as possible. We wanted to have these things go in order for a specific movie, not movie 1, then movie 2, then movie 3. So you pick a movie, you play through 5 scenes, that's your fall semester, you play through the next 5 iconic scenes from the second half of the movie, And then you shoot the scoop one more time to start your final exam. Final exam is the culmination of the film, and the scoring in that is dependent on how many of the first 10 scenes you completed. If you complete enough scenes, you're earning elements of the Deathly Hallows. The Deathly Hallows is one of those wizard modes that you'll learn. So, and then finally, one of the Deathly Hallows, or when you play Deathly Hallows, you unlock one of the Horcruxes, which is Harry. Collecting the Horcruxes is how you get to the end of the game, the boy who lived, so we can touch on those, and that kind of touches on all of the rules throughout the rest of the game, right? Part of a fun final wizard mode is, have you done everything in the game? When I make you collect the 7 Horcruxes from all over the game, you've pretty much done it all. So you've had that monster game, and you're able to play the boy who lived. So Horcrux number 2 is the diary. We touched on that. That's collected at Flourish and Blocks. Horcrux number 3 is collected from Explore Hogwarts. Getting a super jackpot in Explore Hogwarts. That is the ring. Nagini is collected by getting a super jackpot in Death Eater Multi-Ball. So if you defeat 2 Death Eaters, you then get to play Death Eater Multi-Ball. The Cup of Hufflepuff is awarded after you get a super jackpot in Golden Trio. So Golden Trio Multi-Ball, you spell out the names, Ron, Hermione, and Harry, and you lock the balls on the wands. If you get a super jackpot, you unlock that Horcrux. The Allies modes, that is where you get the locket. If you've collected 10 total allies. The Diadem of Ravenclaw is collected after you get a super jackpot in Quidditch World Cup. That's one of those that I had to massage with the licensor. They're like, those don't go together. They don't get the diadem at the World Cup. I'm like, no, but they do grab the diadem on broomsticks as they're flying out of the room of requirement. Let me have this for God's sakes. So they were cool with it. We were able to sell that. So those are the 7 Horcruxes. There's lots more to explore in this game. You know, we've got wizard travel. The Battle of Hogwarts is a really fun, almost Hobbit style, like battle wizard mode big thing. But one of those things that, again, I want people to be able to experience this. The Battle of Hogwarts is a self-indexing difficulty. So what that means is if you've played 100 games, so let me start with, the way you unlock Battle of Hogwarts is you play 4 multi-balls in one game. Okay, if you do that, you then get to play Battle of Hogwarts. However, if you've played 100 games and you haven't gotten to the Battle of Hogwarts, on your 101st game, start 3 multi-balls in order to play Battle of Hogwarts. Play another 100 games if you still haven't done it. Play 2 multi-balls in order to play the Battle of Hogwarts. And then if you do it 100 games in a row, it will index back up.
Does it matter, count that by machine or by player?
By player. By player. So player 1 would have to play, oh sorry, yeah, if you played 100 games and no one's done it, it'll index lower. Yeah, so by machine, sorry. Yep. What else? What other rules have I not touched on? Owl's multi-ball. That's a fun one. That's kind of like a mini wizard mode. If you get all the way through a final exam, movie mode final exam, you get to take your OWLs, which is a really fun scene in the films. 5th movie when the Weasley twins come barreling out of there. There's some really, really fun lamp effects of 2 red dots flying around the hot rails and then chasing a little pink dot as it goes around the hot rails. Joe had a lot of fun with the light shows on that. And then I think, right, there's a lot there. The last thing I'd like to touch on is the user interface and kind of like how that works and how you design a user interface in pinball. The idea here is the player should be able to glance up and immediately know exactly their progress on all of those like 47 different modes that I just showed you guys, all at the same time. So we'll quickly go through The upper left-hand corner is movie modes. It shows not only if you have one lit, which one, but it shows you what shots to shoot while the mode is running. And then this right here shows your smart bomb, your bomb-tastic bomb from the Weasleys, if you have one and you can use it. The timer for movie modes will be right here, and it's the timer that Professor Slughorn has in his office. That one that goes faster when the conversation is not interesting. Next area over in the user interface shows how far along you are in Explore Hogwarts. There are 8 banners to collect before you can start Explore Hogwarts multi-ball, so those drape down from the ceiling. You can see your progress there immediately. Upper right-hand corner shows your progress in Diagon Alley. Once you've completed the word Diagon, and we spot most of the letters at game start for you, you see which shop you're currently in. Next, along the right-hand side is your current bonus objective. The way that bonus works in Potter is there's one objective currently lit that you're collecting bonus for. You can change that when you hit the action button. You can also change it when it goes into the shop behind the flipper. Next area over here is the Golden Trio. You can see the characters. You're trying to spell out their names. When you have their ball locked, their Patronus is sitting behind them, so you can see state, if their name is spelled out, and if they have their Patronus, how close you are to starting Golden Trio. Quidditch area is over on the left-hand side. The very first time you get to the upper playfield on a game determines your position on the Quidditch team. Now what that means is all game long you're scoring Quidditch points when you have a Quidditch match running. If you go up there and you rock the house and you do everything you're supposed to do the first time, you're the seeker. And you get a huge multiplier at the end of your game. If you shoot up there and you flub and you don't hit anything, then you're the beater on the team, and you don't get as big of a multiplier. So, first time you get up there, make sure you do what you need to do. Quidditch matches are really fun. The golden snitch flies around the playfield the whole game. The whole Quidditch match. Every switch, shot, and target has a little snitch in front of it, and you need to hit that when the snitch is there in order to collect it and get your 150 Quidditch points. Final.
I was gonna say, pay attention to the light effects too, because they'll help you determine where the snitch is.
Right, the whole side of the game will light up yellow if it's on the left side. The whole side of the game will light up if it's on the right side, and then it'll light up in the back if it's near the back of the playfield. So pay attention for that. Finally, your Death Eater progress is over on the left-hand side. 2 Death Eater defeats in order to start Death Eater multi-ball. All right, now I think you are all Harry Potter pros, and you can all come and play me for $1. Let's do it. All right, so questions about Potter? Yes, sir.
So 2 questions. The second one you may not want to answer.
Okay.
The first one, the action button. When
Yes.
and how should you use that?
Yeah.
Right. So action button does a lot of different things. At game start, it will allow you to pick your skill shot. All right. Skill shots have different game objectives or rewards if you can hit them. Right. Like if you hit the Harry lane, it'll complete Harry and his lock will be lit. Or same for Ron, or same for Hermione. Once you've completed a skill shot successfully, it opens up a whole bunch of other ones, which you can then go on to choose. Overwhelming casual players is not what I wanted to do, so I kept it limited the first time. So that's action button number 1. While you're in game, you can use the action button to change which Diagon Alley shop is currently lit. And it also changes what bonus objective you're currently going for. And then finally, it uses your Bomb-tastic Bomb while you're running a mode, but it's also used during the video mode. So there's a couple things.
The Bomb-tastic Bomb, why would you use that?
So Bomb-tastic Bomb auto-completes the current scene that you're playing through. So if it's on a really hard shot, or you're running out of time, but you've already done like 4 in a row, that multiplier is huge, and you want to keep it going, you'd use the Bomb-tastic Bomb.
Second question, real quick. So 2 games on the game, 1 on the Wizard, 1 on CE, so
Mhm.
probably 5 to 10 minutes total play time. Love the game. but a well-known pinball personality has indicated, he shows his love by criticizing the games, has indicated that the challenge is everything is happening at once, and there's not enough focus on individual nodes.
Okay.
Aware of that feedback, and is there anything you plan to change?
Sure. So on my games, historically, every single multi-ball was stackable. That is not the case on Potter. Every multi-ball is individualized. While you're playing a multi-ball, you cannot start new things. So you can't start a Death Eater fight. You can't start Luna mode or an allies mode. And then I will further say, we're on 0.73 code. Hearing that sort of feedback, hearing feedback from shows like this helps make the game better. Certain personalities, I don't really give a shit about what they say. But hearing from customers and fans about their experience and what it could be better, right? I listened to Triple Drain podcast, like on the way down here, and Tom's a great guy, he's a friend of mine. He had some great feedback. And we hear those things, and we want to make the best game possible. We've made the best game we can up till this point, and we've shown it now to the world. And we can't really change the mechanics at this point, but Joe and the rest of my programming team can improve things and change things and allow the end user to change things. Something that I don't think a lot of pinball players do is ever go into the settings and change the game so it plays the way they want to play. You want to have a 60-second ball saver? Turn on a 60-second ball saver. If that makes the game more fun to you, do it. I don't care. You're not going to offend me. You bought the game for 15 grand. Do what you want. Right? So we really encourage you to play the game you want to play. And we have hundreds of settings that you can adjust and modify to make the game play the way you want to play.
I played one of the games, lit extra ball, have no idea how I did it, so
Sure.
you address that, and then the other one is the game changer. I don't think you talked to me about
Right.
that.
I didn't talk about that.
You know, if I'm playing and I'm playing with my wife, she's really good, I'm terrible, so can you have different, for different people skill set on the
Yes.
game changer?
So let's start with question number one, extra ball. There are a bunch of different extra balls buried in the game. You get one by defeating a Death Eater. You get one by advancing to, I think, the second level of wizard travel. There's another one in the potions area. Another thing that I tend to do when I design games is I make extra ball shots really, really hard. Not sorry. But as we were play testing Potter, and it wasn't just me and Joe playing, because we were hitting the extra ball shot whenever we wanted to, right? It's the under the flipper shot. You pull up your flipper, you shoot it. It's done. It's simple. It's not simple. Not for everyone. When we started letting other members of the team, and people not on the team, casual players play it, we saw our extra ball percentage was about 2%. That's a little low. And I'm like, okay, let's make it a little easier. So now, the first extra ball that you earn in a game can be collected by shooting any subway entrance. So that's scoop, that's under the flipper, or that's the potions cauldron shot. Every extra ball after that, you gotta earn by shooting under the flipper. And then Game Changer. So Game Changer is a new concept that we developed for this game. And the first implementation we have for it is the game comes with a set of 3 QR codes on keychain, on your game's keychain. Easy, normal, and wizard. So if you start a game, you hold up the QR code in front of the camera, it automatically sets the rules to easy, or normal, or wizard. Game defaults to normal. What that does is it makes all of the objectives in the game set to that difficulty. So, for instance, right now when you play, you walk into the game, it's normal. It takes a minimum of 3 shots to start Explore Hogwarts multi-ball. You've got to complete the directional pad in front of the staircase and the ramp in order to qualify the multi-ball, then you got to shoot the staircase to start it. The wizard So again, you hit the start button, you put it in front of the camera, you see your score change color. Gold for wizard, silver for normal, bronze for easy. On wizard, you have to complete the entire directional path. So that's 9 shots for Explore Hogwarts multi-ball. On easy, that multi-ball's lit at game start. There is a lot more we can do with that. I mean, turning on ball saver, making that longer, adding time for modes, making, when you hit the Hermione target, instead of spotting 2 letters, it spots 4 letters. The objective here is that I can keep my ball alive a lot longer. I should play on wizard. My 7-year-old, actually, he's a pretty good player. Playing on easy, is something that I, as a really skilled player, can play on wizard. Someone else can play on easy, and they'll have a chance to beat me because they can get to the big points faster than I can. I might be able to keep the ball alive longer, but the objectives will be easier for them to accomplish than for me. All right?
On the topic of extra ball,
Yeah.
this isn't a criticism, it's more curiosity. Why is that the end? Why isn't it?
So that's a Jersey Jack thing that we've always done. And the reason for that, a lot of that reason has to do with my wife. My wife doesn't like playing pinball with me because I'll earn 9 extra balls and then I'll play for an hour and 45 minutes. And she's like, my ball is still, I'm still waiting to play my ball. So at JJP, I mean, and I joke a bit, but really skilled players can keep ball alive a lot longer. We wanted to even it out. We wanted players to go back and forth until someone's out of the game. Then they don't have to stick around anymore, right? They can leave and I can still play my 7 extra balls and it doesn't harm them anymore. So that's something we've done actually since Wizard of Oz. Right down here.
All right, so on the game changer technology, what you guys have in your camera system is tremendous AI, because you can read facial expressions, you can read profanity stuff like it's fake. It can do so much more than select easy wizard. Like you can do that with a flipper combination. What are you guys thinking about in-house for recognizing players, sort of like a Stern Connect where it just sees your face and it knows, okay, there's Brian. Like what are you guys thinking about for next generation there?
Lots of stuff. So
Just wait.
you will notice, right? Something that happened with Potter that's never happened before. Every one of your Jersey Jack games that's connected showed the Potter trailer before anyone else in the world. We're getting started.
So I'm the biggest Pirates fan in the world. I
All
want
right.
to see.
Nice.
I think it's the best. If anyone hasn't played it, it is the best game ever made. Now I think, Eric, that what you did with the 5 movies in Pirates was just the beginning, and this is the extension of what you built then. Just taking you were ahead of the time back then, putting those 5 movies in there. And you are correct, the extra ball in Pirates is impossible shot.
I've got a great story about that, which I can tell you later. We've got another question here, sir.
My main thing's on the headphones. I've been sort of curious back and forth. I like to walk up to the machine and be able to use it, not use my headphones, plug them in and hear my headphones in, everybody can hear it just fine. Or plug it in like at home and just hear only the headphones. Is that a built-in standard now?
Yeah, you can standard on so I don't think the arcade version actually comes with a headphone jack.
But the arcade does have Bluetooth still.
But they all do have Bluetooth, so you can connect Bluetooth headphones. And it is a setting to have it headphone only or headphone and speakers. All right. We got a question all the way in the back.
Earlier I was down the battle and I kind of see, there's normally a bunch of parlors on the screen, but I think it's a Jamil chunk going off, but it's all the parlors going off.
So yeah, there's a frenzy mode called Potter Frenzy. It's a lot like ARG Frenzy. There are over 200 different voice clips of different actors saying Potter, and we thought it'd be really fun to say Potter, 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 for every switch that you hit. So you get that by completing the Harry Lanes, I think, for the 3rd time, and it starts Potter Frenzy. Green shirt?
A bunch of your previous games, particularly like Pirates and Godfather, have created a lot of distinction towards picking a specific family or character to start the game out with. Harry Potter has a lot of characterization towards which house the students are a part of, and is there a reason that for Harry Potter, of all genres, when a year or two ago they did the video game, and a big part of the video game was picking which house you got to choose, and that had a lot of positive critical reception. For this game, why did you shift from your other games towards picking like a Godfather house? In this game, you can't pick which like Hogwarts house you want to play with.
It was certainly something during the design decisions. Do we want you to play as a Hufflepuff or a Ravenclaw, and what could their abilities or powers be? In the end, the direction we chose had a lot to do with, we want to tell the story of the movies, and picking the house for the player wasn't something that was going to jive with the story of the movies that we were trying to tell. And I don't know if you can read between the lines on what I'm trying to say, maybe you can, but it wasn't an option for this game. How about that?
Guy in the black.
I heard you mention the percentage on the extra ball. Two-part question. What technology did you use to track percentages? And then how much of an impact did that affect on like ramp placement for Death Eater versus
So we have basic audits in every one of our games, right? I know exactly how many times when I go to a game, I open up the coin door and I press the button that reads audits. How many times you press the left flipper button, right? How many times you hit the drop target? How many times you've done simple stuff like that, but also some advanced audits, like how many times has the extra ball been lit but not collected? How many games have you done any multi-ball at all? Having statistics like that helped me as a game designer design a more fun to play game, right? It's like, I want you to play a multi-ball at least once. What can I do to lower the barrier of entry on at least one of them so that it's there right away when you're trying to play things? And that's where, to your point, like earning an extra ball, it was just on the travel combos for a while, but that kind of put it out there for a more advanced player, right? You got an advanced combo, then you got to shoot the scoop, and you got to advance more combos and shoot the scoop again. When I invited some people in ahead of launch, and they signed non-disclosures, and they, did all that stuff, casual players, they were just nailing the Death Eater all day long, because it's within that 30 degrees between the flippers, right? You're hitting that shot all the time. So award what the players are going to do naturally, and help them explore more of the game. All right.
Is Game Changer going to come to previous games potentially? And if so, how far back?
So we talked about it. Starting it with Potter was really dipping our toe into, is this something that players are going to enjoy? And so far, the response has been unanimously positive, right? Being able to play with a different skill set next to you on the same game, people seem to like it a lot. So I could see it happening. But I mean, that's a lot of programming resources to make that happen. And then figuring out how to implement it on the two games that don't have cameras is another one of those, right? Like Wizard of Oz and Hobbit, they don't have a camera system. So we'd have to figure out a new method to make that happen. Maybe it just happens at game start, select your difficulty, But seeing the response tells me that it is something that people would want to do, and perhaps it's worth investing those resources. All right. We probably have time for one more. We're already over our time, but down here.
You talked a little bit about the alternate Protego mech that didn't play out.
Mhm.
What's something else that you really wish you could have included that didn't work out for either, for one of many reasons?
Oh, let's see. There's all sorts of stuff that gets left on the cutting room floor for tons of different reasons.
And every game's like that. Every game we do, there's all these great things we want to do, we want to put in, and we spend time and resources to develop it, and for one reason or another, it it doesn't make it in.
Right, so I don't want to talk about anything on Potter because it's still very fresh. But Guns N' Roses, up until about 2 months before we launched the game, it had a subway system. It had a 5 entrance, 2 exit, 5 coil subway system, similar to Star Trek Next Gen, right? Where you could shoot the ball into the X lane at the top, the scoop in front, the drain from the upper playfield, the skill shots. If anyone ever wondered why that skill shot is that way, you used to, if you shot too far, go into a hole and everyone would boo you, and it was, right. It was extremely expensive. That's why. Right, yeah. Coils and plastic and metal and all of that stuff.
Maybe push an update, put booze back. It's not like, yeah.
They still boo you.
Still losing.
Yeah, they'll still boo you.
Oh, good.
But yeah, I mean, and that happens all the time, right? There's resources. At the end of the day, it's my job to sell pinball machines for the company and make the best game I can with the resources I have for time, budget, personnel, and mental sanity, right? So I think that's it for our time, guys. I'm happy to hang out until we get booted out to do autographs and stuff like that. But, thank you. Appreciate it.
Is this the game room?
Joe, you want this?
You enjoy it. This is yours.
Sorry, James, just call the mic.